Welcome to my humble abode, Yorkie the Talespinner, and this, Tales Over Coffee. A morning show where we start the day together with a narrative tale, a cup of coffee. In the hopes that we can welcome today, we're continuing to follow the story of President Anton Rain and our rise and hopefully maintenance of power within Sordland. We've had the morning briefing. Now we need to hear about the media strategy. Lucian and Petter arrived at my office to talk about recent developments on the media strategy. They both took their seats across from me. Lucian put on his reading glasses and quickly went over some documents. Petter turned to Lucian and nodded. Let's begin. First of all, said Petter, you mentioned that Marcel Carpe contacted you. Who is this? Marcel Carpe is a Swordish businessman, philanthropist, entrepreneur, who is the son of the media proprietor Conrad Carpe. He operates the HOS Advertising, the largest advertising company in Sordland. He is also a board member of the HOS, Sordland's largest conglomerate operating in the media, energy, construction, trade and tourism industries. He previously served as chairman of HOS Resorts, a luxury hotel group with 12 destinations in 8 countries. Carpe obtained a bachelor's degree from Perla School of Business and a master's degree in media and communications from Harvard University in Venture City, Acacia. In 1940, Carpe joined the Swordish Broadcasting Corporation as vice president in charge of advertising before being transferred to the HOS Resorts chain by Conrad Carpe. 3 years later, he transformed HOS Resorts from a leading hotel chain in Sordland into an international powerhouse through his expansion of the brand into 7 different countries. In 1950, he left HOS Resorts, started operating the HOS Advertising, the advertising company within HOS Media Group, and the HOS conglomerate. Could be a useful person to have on side. The Carpes had always been known as one of the richest and most influential families in Sordland. Marcel Carpe was no exception. He was the oldest son of Conrad Carpe, the industrialist and media mogul who founded HOS, the richest man in the entirety of Sordland. Lucian turned to me. He has offered to meet with you, Miss President. What does he want? After passing of his father, may he rest in peace. Let me just check something here. May he rest in peace. Marcel aims to become the next CEO of HOS Conglomerate. He mentioned a productive collaboration. They are powerful and influential media conglomerates. To start with, they own the Sordland Today newspaper, the Sordis Broadcasting Corporation, which means, and it would be wise to have them on our side. Sorry for interrupting. What does productive collaboration mean? He did not wish to explain the details over the phone, but rather in person. I believe I will be receiving a call from him sometime soon. However, as Petter said, they have substantial power over the content of media outlets, headlines, radio shows. That is what we'll be offering. What he wants in return is what we need to understand. But let's not get ahead of ourselves first. We need to determine our general approach to the media. I'm no media expert, said Peter, but Lucian made some very interesting arguments at the preparation meeting yesterday. There are 2 ways we can approach the media. One of them is by influencing it. There's clear advantages. The other is by keeping it independent. I think it should be used as a tool, don't you? I agree. Media plays a huge role in adapting public opinion towards our views and policies, while helping us avoid damage from scandals or mistakes. While I do acknowledge that this will sound a bit harsh, I certainly believe that our perspective, knowledge and experience allows us to have superior judgment compared to the average Swordish citizen. Of course it does. That doesn't sound... No, sorry, I thought I said doesn't. I share your opinion. I concur, said Peter. Even if we don't use it, we should be able to have control over it. You're both aware of my certain expertise within public opinion swaying. I'll make sure the media is on our side. 2 knocks were heard at the door. Please come in. Olivia Suno, my new secretary, entered from the office. Her dark curls bounced. As she crossed the room to my desk, she spoke with a slight lilt in her voice. Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Gallard's secretary has been calling me and wanted me to relay a message. Who is Mr. Gallard? Oh, Lucien, sir. You're right here, Lucien. What the hell? Lucien, you're right here. Marcel Caronte, the new CEO of the HOS Oh, maybe the secretary's received a call while you're here. He's on the line from Mr. Gallard. Yes, indeed. Well, the ball is in our court now, said Peter. Would you like to talk to him, sir, or would you like me to, said Lucien. It would be more impressive if I did, wouldn't it? But at the same time, he does have expertise. Lucien, I'm going to trust your expertise. I wouldn't have you in position if I didn't think you were worth it. Go ahead, connect the line to my office. Right away, connecting call to line 1. Olivia left the room and the phone started ringing. Lucien picked up the phone and started to listen. A few minutes passed as the two talked over the phone. Good news indeed. Congratulations, Mr. Caronte. Thank you for contacting me about this. We will talk later. Lucien put the phone down. What was so important that it couldn't wait? Peter asked. He was just elected CEO by the board of directors. He offered a partnership deal regarding his media branch. He's inviting us to his resort near Conrad for a meeting. Third Lashley City in Greater Hallsort, okay. The board has decided, rather quickly it seems, that gave him the confidence to approach the game. He's going to offer a real deal and now has the power of the conglomerate too. The choice is up to you, Mr. President. I can set up the meeting soon. Peter, what do you have to say? I have to say I'm torn. If he has become the CEO, then he has enormous influence now. On the other hand, do we want to privately meet with someone we don't fully know? A meeting would help us figure him out. I'm tempted to agree, Lucien. We could still say no to whatever he offers. Yes, arrange a meeting. I'll set things up right away. Expect a worthwhile meeting next month. It's settled then. I'm looking forward to next month. I wonder if he has a pool. Lucien looked at his watch. It appears we're done for today. We will continue where we left off later. Thank you for your time. Good work with Marcel. Keep it up. Lucien and Peter nodded before gathering their documents and leaving my office. We were already getting the attention of key figures and potentially dangerous ones. Let's read the report from Hallsort, Party Committee report. The Reform Committee reports that any potential change to the Constitution in the direction of the reformists will likely result in strong opposition from the National Front Party. The members of the Assembly in support of such direction seem to be in great numbers and possibly make up a majority of the Grand National Assembly, while most members of the United Sordland Party seem reluctant about her to support such changes. Indeed. Yes, this is a concern, a conflict we really don't need right now. Isn't that usually the case for all conflicts when you're in power? Briefing on the current economic situation. Simon Hall, Gus Manger, and Lilius Graf are about to arrive at the meeting room for our scheduled economy meeting. This is the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. 2 assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway I heard Lilius Graf's voice. Presuming the patient's almost motherly turns, she often took in heated arguments. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is in need of more investment than England? Lilius, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige. The only spot of colour a bright yellow, nearest star on her necklace. Gus followed close behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilius. What about the unemployment crisis in the Greater Hallsort and Gelsland regions are going through? These areas are an economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into fists. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development's temper hadn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration. but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was unlike any other. Simon Hall quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. I am very well and motivated, Mr. Rain. It seems our ministers are feeling the same, said Simon. I can clearly see that. What was that discussion about? We were having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... Gus began. Simon interrupted. We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, I would like to conduct my economic presentation. I'm interested in what Gus has to say. Of course, Mr. President. Sir, I have some very good construction companies willing to take government contracts in the greater Holsord and Gelsland region. This would boost the rural economy. I think it would be wise to pick investments that will go through these regions. Okay, I'm happy for your advice. No need to rush this, Gus. We'll figure it out. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analysed every aspect of... Get on with it. He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the heavy projector. Oh, you can put it there. He pointed below the painting of President Sol, and assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Leave now. Thank you, and please leave now. Simon, you're rather a rude little bugger, aren't you? The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never had quite a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Sordland. Fair enough. Simon started looking at his slides, or for his slides. Always carried documentation around with him. Elias leaned to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? While going through his briefcase, he paused moments to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I've been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Estord needs all the security it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analyses. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some developments about the Suzerain losing further value today. We've been trying to stabilise it with the central bank. Recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was significant cause of concern for our administration. What would you like to know about the current economic situation? Our GDP and debt situation. Our current GDP is 310 billion Swedish ren, and the national debt is 427 billion. Significant hole. It's still hard to fathom. We lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. Past 3 years, what's up, said Goss. Our unemployment and inflation rate. Unemployment has skyrocketed. It's now at a staggering 16%. That is very high. And the inflation rate is at a relatively high 7%, yes. We have some serious economic problems, I see. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. That inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. What about the status of the recession? The economy has been in recession for about -6%, about -6% in the past year. The average GDP has dropped from Swedish ren 15,454 to 10,359 Swedish ren. That's a lot. That is a hell of a drop. We're not doing well. This administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. All the information I needed. Let's move on to the economic strategy. The man scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at the notes before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Volkswagen led to a large budget surplus we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we'll take in our term. Solonomics-based nationalisation happened in the 30s and Alfonso's privatisation during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a planned economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I don't think this was a good idea. We shouldn't go back to Solonomics. It is the reason for the recession. Self-sufficiency will help us through tough times. The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage a recession. That's a fair argument to be made. If we reduce the freedom of people in the marketplace in general, it would hinder our innovation and dynamism in the supply and demand equation. Say what you will about Alfonso, said Gus. Without his attempts, our current coffers would be empty and the recession would be in a depression. One way to be remembered positively is to cause a recession and leave a few bills behind. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lilius. There is another important point which has direct impact on our economy: superpowers. We have superpowers. We have done well not aligning ourselves with, as in national superpowers. Economically speaking, an isolationist policy, overall, would only work if we were to reap the benefits of both spheres and their rivalry. This is very dangerous to attempt, but still possible. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Sordland. We cannot give in to their wants now or in the future, otherwise our country will turn into a pawn. Time will show if staying neutral will work out or not. We must make it work to protect our country and our values. There is no other way. We need to be open to other possibilities. Arcasia is a strong country, and if we end up in their sphere, Sordland would increase its influence in the world. The deals we would get would surely bring us out of recession. Return for what? Our independence? When the time comes, said Lilius, I hope you will make the right decision. Our own good. The man cleared his throat again. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Whiskey will be in charge of informing you on those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Someone put forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. The cabinet members looked at me. Would a planned economic focus bring us stronger allies? It would make United Cortana diplomatically look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of a planned economy. The influence Arcasia has on the world is extensive. An economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning, though. What's the long-term economic schedule? Picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and welfare privatisation or nationalisation initiatives will be some of them. We must choose wisely, said Gus, and remember that the free market economy in all forms is the future of the world. Lilia says I wouldn't be so sure. A planned economy for the boom, it clearly shows the success of the sea. Okay. Precisely the reason we should stick to the old system, said Lilius. State planning and regulation both showed great success in the 30s. Only for a limited time, said Gus. Even Tarquin Sol discovered the limits of the system. The slowdown began during his rule, remember? Move on. What are your final thoughts then, Mr. President? Critical institutions must remain in state control. Other things can be private. You could be, and it wouldn't be a negative, but either way, you make the choices. So, said Simon, what will our general economic plan promote? Planned economy, as we promised. Not sure if made the right decision here. Gus looked worried. Now that there is a clarity, said Simon, on which direction we are heading, I will work on the good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At the next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plans. Now that the economic direction was taken, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Maroon Palace. And we have the campaign finance bill. The campaign finance bill that was approved by the Grand National Assembly. The criteria for allocation of public funds shall no longer be according to a number of votes won in the general election of a primary party. The new criteria shall be the proportion of seats won by a political party in the Assembly. Political parties shall receive an annual amount of 500,000 Ren per member of Assembly. This results in a doubling of the USP election budget and a slight increase in the other parties of the Assembly, while effectively removing all funding from parties that are below 10%. Yes, that's fine. Now, let's see what reports we have around the place, shall we? Report from Morna. Increasing unemployment. The number of people filing for unemployment in Morna continues to rise as the recession continues. This change in economic conditions is historic and stunning in its read, said the mayor of Morna. In the aftermath of the crisis of 51, the unemployment rate in Morna rose to 9% in the following year. The last 6 months have almost erased all gains in employment over the last 2 decades. We have other situations. Report from Sarna, promising agricultural growth. For the first time in 3 years, agricultural output of Sarna has increased. Many experts link the increased output both a drop in temperatures and new farming practices that have been adopted in recent years. Additionally, farmers are now accessing more generous credit allowances from the government that were left over from the Alfonso administration. The Ministry of Agriculture reports that the region's agricultural industry has the potential to become a powerhouse in the future if investments persist. Dire. Increasing homelessness, that's not good. The region of Suburbia is among the worst hit regions in Sordland, where homelessness has skyrocketed since the economic recession. The number of homeless in the city of Dire is more likely to have increased by 25% in the last year. But it said to 25%. The rise was particularly stark among Bluedish people, where homelessness increased by 72% in 6 years. It is reported that homelessness among ethnic minorities has reached the highest level in more than a decade. The Bluedish minority of the region now account for 47% of all homeless there. That's a problem. Nothing external. From Gelsord, infrastructure report. The recession led to a reduction in rail assets, with more than a fifth of the rail network itself antiquated, being mothballed in the recent years. While the main lines of the railway network are currently in service, increasing demand in goods from Gelsord to the capital is pushing the network to its limits. The rail signalling system in the region dates from the middle of last century and is also in need of improvement. That's not good. Lenkirk infrastructure report. The recent collapse of tourism in Lenkirk has led to a reduction in trade traffic and road maintenance. The road network is currently in service but is in need of substantial improvement. Ports, country roads and bridges similarly suffer from a lack of investment. Firms doing business in Lenkirk report a significant shortage in warehousing facilities, particularly refrigerated facilities, with implications both for transportation system and the ability to serve the population's basic food and health needs. But Agland is indeed struggling a lot. Also, Loren, Gruni. May have to focus there. We'll see. Invest in mega infrastructure. Where are we? This in Lockhaven in Nargis. One of 2 planned mega infrastructure projects. The Ministry of the Economy has put forward 2 bold plans for mega infrastructure projects that would help the economic recession in the long term. Investing in projects in this way will take up some proportion of our budget, but could prove worthwhile if accomplished successfully. Yes, we need to recover the economy as fast as we can. Discussion of the potential megastructure project. The view toward the Marchian Sea from Lockhaven was nothing short of exquisite. The seaside state residence, fittingly named the Blue Mansion, was large, fine, and accommodating. But enjoying this luxurious mansion wasn't the main reason of our visit. We gathered the economic team here to discuss the new infrastructure investment project. Half an hour had already passed since the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not even have the chance to have my usual afternoon coffee. Looking at the view from the windows, I let my mind drift for a couple of seconds. Simon's voice brought me back to the ongoing discussion. Mr. President, we need to focus on boosting the economy as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to achieve this is through infrastructure projects. Yes, agreed. On the one hand, businessmen are complaining about the slow logistical rail network between Holsord and Lockhaven. I can see that. Lydia started talking as soon as Simon took a breath. On the other hand, citizens are criticising the lack of proper highway connection between Lockhaven and Avery. The narrow roads by the seaside are not only dangerous, but also difficult to traverse. We need to pick the most profitable option for economic growth, which is obviously connecting our 2 most economically powerful cities, said Gus. It is not the business of people that suffer. It is not the business people that suffer, says Lilius, but the ordinary folk. What really matters, though, is that we can accomplish something tangible in your first economic act. I'm not worried about the administrative, we're taking care of that. We must improve the economy of the nation and bring it out of recession. Therefore, I defined 2 important projects for your attention. The H3 Highway Project and the L1 High-Speed Railway Network. Mr. Hall positioned himself on the chair to take a more comfortable view. Simon. The Ministry can only support 1 project at a time with the current capacity and budget. Let's move on to the details of each. So which one do you want to hear about first? Simon, tell me about the highway project. The H3 project aims to improve the abysmal state of the road network in Agnoland, bordering Agnolia. The area is home to several million Agno-Sordish and Sordish who feel neglected. There are no proper highway connections to and from Agnoland, and the Mayor of Avery, Eric Neal, has been asking for a bigger budget to develop the regional infrastructure. He's told us that even trucks are having a hard time travelling through the main road, said Lilius. The increased traffic is causing trouble for people commuting in and out of the region. That must be cumbersome for the citizens. It is, bless their souls. I'm happy that we're thinking alike on the matter, said Lilius. Let's look at the map. I looked at the map, Lilius was pointing at Lockhaven. The H3 project route starts at here and leads to Lenkirk. From there it goes all the way to Avery. As a result, the road network towards Angland capital, Styleport, will improve substantially. She paused and leaned forward in her chair. I saw the central government continuously neglect the Agno-Sordish dominated regions when I was mayor. Is this administration going to continue that kind of negligence? It is a remote region, but it will be less remote if we connect it better to external business. It would make Agno-Sordish citizens be respected as swords like us all. I am all for Swordish citizens without separation or preference, therefore we should think about the country overall. It has to be pointed out that the highway would be less beneficial in the near term, said Simon. I have to disagree. It will increase the speed of transportation through the region. Our citizens will be quite pleased if we successfully accomplish this. Besides, if we enter trade talks with Agnolia, they would see the investment as a positive sign. Yes, I do think that as well. I'm tempted to go with you, Lilius. I want to hear the other project. This is very interesting, but could you tell me about the railway project? Your predecessor, Alfonso, has failed to deliver on this campaign promise, said Simon. But now we have the opportunity to start the construction of a groundbreaking railway project. As you know, our current trains cannot meet the standards of today. As many other countries adopt this new electric engine technology to power up their trains, we fall one step behind. News about the new electric trains in United Cortana has piqued the business interests. They too want transport resources and material from Holsord to Lacasian with greater speed and efficiency. Not fully convinced yet. They're already profitable. Our plan is to upgrade the old L1 line from Holsord to Lockhaven. It will transform to a high-speed rail. I looked at the map. Gus was pointing out Holsord while someone was looking attentively. The planned construction starts right here in the capital. It will go to Enrica first. And then connect to Gelsord. After which it will reach Lockhaven, an economic powerhouse. The L1 will significantly boost the economy of the newly linked cities, and even the rural areas in between. Lockhaven is our primary port, so the goods unloaded there will be transported to Holsord much faster. I believe it would benefit businesses and Sordland as a whole, yes, but we may have to prioritise the other. For wealthy and middle-class citizens of these regions, but not for the poor dears, who wouldn't be able to afford the increased ticket prices. Mayor of Enrica, Curtin Lest, also requested this project to be prioritised. Businessmen in the region will be very content, which increases investments and employment. Therefore, I will recommend the L1 high-speed rail project, said Simon. I do like the idea of boosting business investments and employment. I also like the idea of establishing a greater connection to a bordering nation, and therefore inviting investment, business contracts, etc. from them. I settled on the decision. Will your choice be? You know what? We're going to connect to the outside. I've decided on the H3 highway project to improve the infrastructure in our poorer region. Thank God, I knew you'd see reason. Negotiations will begin in the middle of this year. We'll be able to award the contract to a corporation of your choice. The Ministry estimates that the entire construction will finish in 2 years if every step going forward is executed successfully. Is there anything else? This should be all, Mr. President. See you soon, Mr. Rain. Have a nice day, Mr. President. Evening settled. Beautiful coastline of Lockhaven. Right. That was a tougher one than I expected. I suspect this won't quite be as profitable, which may have been a bad choice. But at the same time, connecting through to Agnolia would be highly beneficial. Before we finish, let's just check out the news. Holsord Post. The campaign finance bill has been signed into law by President Rain after approval from the Grand National Assembly by majority vote on Friday following a 3-hour debate. Friend Richter, who objected to the funding package, saying it contained too much unfairness in the allocation of the budget, also sought to delay proceedings. by demanding a formal recorded vote, but was overruled. The new law brings small changes in the criteria for allocation of the campaign budget and introduces no change to the total amount of public funds reserved for political parties, which stands at 100 million Sordland. Economy meeting held in Holsord. Contacts close to the government report that yesterday Sordland's economic policies have been planned behind closed doors. Shortly after the meeting, that was also attended by President Rain, the Ministry of Economy has released a statement regarding their short-term economic plans, include the promotion of a planned economy. Unruth Karansi passed away, we know. Freezing temperatures recorded. The Meteorological Institute has reported the record low temperature of -29 in the city of Suzerain. A warning of frostbite has been issued in the cities south of Belgium. People are advised not to go out unless they must due to the risk of frostbite. Schools are closed for the period. The new assembly begins duty. President Anton Rain has been elected fourth president of Sordland in the 7th Sordish elections. I think we might have read that. Radical. USP hijacks elections. A new law that further expands the unfairness of our election system has been approved by the Grand National Assembly and was signed into law by President Rain. The new law changes the rules of eligibility of the public funds that are reserved for every political party in Sordland. Previously, the funds were given on the basis of a number of votes in general elections. With these changes, the funds will be given on the basis of the number of seats the political party holds, which eliminates every party apart from the 3 that are currently in the Assembly. This insane law also results in the governing United Sordland Party's share of the funds to double as Anton Rain's presidency begins. Yet the radical are already smelling a rot in Holsord. Nationalist violence. A man in his 20s has been beaten with a baseball bat in a paramilitary-style attack on Avery. The man claims to have been attacked because of his ethnic background as an Anglo-Sordish citizen. He was approached during a walk at the park by a group of right-wing extremists who are suspected of being regulars at the local National Front Party office. This group inflicted injuries onto his arms and legs, police said. The man was brought to the hospital after making his way to a nearby property. The police service in Avery said it was a brutal attack for which there is no justification. There is no place for attacks such as this in our society, said Eric Neal, Mayor of Avery, and called for unity and urged restraint from the populace. Glamorous inaugural ball. The Holsord elite gathers for a lavish state ball. Many citizens in the country are uncertain about their own future, but the state has no problems with wasting taxpayers' money right from the start. We demand these traditions of wasteful nature will become a thing of the past once the president settles in. You can demand all you want. Economists. Armadine Industries pioneering electronics. A new prototype for the first pocket radio was displayed by the Arcasian electronics company Armadine Industries in Ventry City. After 6 years of research, the engineers behind the pocket transistor radio have revealed that the material science questions regarding the composites have been solved. The company is now filing the patents for the product. The CEO of Armadine, Aaron Bridges, is predicting an IPO at VACSE in the upcoming years. In a bid to raise further investment, Mr. Bridges has called for all the venture capitalists who believe in the future of science and technology in the marketplace to invest in the company. The president of Arcasia, White Walker, praised the bright minds of the Arcasian engineers. Geopolitical, Sordland's regional trade. As the Rain administration starts its first term, there is a question of all our heads. What will the regional international trade policy? Due to the strategic political location of Sordland, historically Agnolia and Welland have been natural trading partners. Depending on the direction of Rain administration, we think it is likely that a new trade deal will be brokered with at least one of these partners in the near term. All in all, regardless of which trading partners the administration decides to go with, one thing is for sure, regional trade will boost the ailing economy. Maybe it was a good choice then. Rumba going south, our foreign policy analysts who are reviewing the recent aggressive military and diplomatic developments of Rumburg, have come to the conclusion that it's highly likely that Rumburg will keep trying to push south, threatening territories of Sordland, Welland, and possibly Agnolia. I see. Right, they're trying to push further towards us. The annexation of Dawn many decades ago was just the beginning. Rumburg seems to be on a quest to secure all strategic resources. Well, we're going to end there for today. What opportunities lie ahead of us? Invest in Occasion company stocks. We'll look into that next time. For now, I've been Yorkie the Talespinner. This has been Suzerain. You have been a fine audience. If you wish to hit the like and subscribe, I would appreciate it, and a comment is always welcome.